Now it's
Ryan,
recording.
do you know?
Now it's recording. Yeah.
Now it's recording.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have hate to have assumed.
Go to my SoundCloud.
Well, it is September 2nd. And we are starting a new unit, Unit 2 for IB 20th Century World History. And I can post these videos if you guys want to see them too. I can find a way to post them. Also known as the Great War, or as Stephen said, the war to end all wars, which didn't work out so well. We're going to explore why it didn't work out so well. This war is sort of foundational for your understanding of the rest of the 20th century. So we're going to spend some time on it, understanding its causes, the practices and effects of World War I, 1914 to 1918. Boom.
Oh.
You want to see that again? You want to see it again?
Mm-hmm.
Boom. John, are we okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. This war, according to George Kennan, who is a noted historian on World War I, is the seminal catastrophe of the 20th century. And it's easy to argue that the effects have lasted into the 21st century, especially when we look at the Middle East. Anybody who's done any research on the Middle East and the problems in the Middle East today, current events, can show a linkage back to World War I. But that's the 21st century. The 20th century, can anyone make a linkage to any other events in the 20th century?
World War II.
World War II. In fact, you probably all understand that World War II was basically an extension of World War I. All the unresolved issues of World War I are partially resolved in World War II. New issues are created. Can anyone see any other linkage to the 20th century in World War I from your prior knowledge? Anyone? John?
Never mind.
Cold War, good. Vietnam War is part of the Cold War. The Korean War, part of the Cold War. Okay. Besides wars, can you see any other linkage to the 20th century?
Technology.
Lots of technology. Give me some examples. Tanks. Planes.
Poison gas.
Poison gas. Machine guns. Submarines.
Oh yeah.
Right? So all of these inventions of World War I are basically an extension of the industrial might of the warring nations, which in previous centuries would not have existed. If we had this war in the 1800s, say prior to the Civil War, there would have been no airplanes, no tanks, no poison gas, no barbed wire, no machine guns. But speaking of the Civil War, a lot of people have seen some linkages from the Civil War. You do have trench warfare in different aspects of the Civil War. Modern technology is starting to take hold, but not yet, because we haven't hit the Industrial Revolution yet. Once we hit the Industrial Revolution, the Gilded Age, we're able to mass produce weapons of mass destruction, and of course, by the end of World War II, the ultimate weapon of mass destruction, the atomic bomb. That's right. So all of that goes back to World War I. 70 million soldiers participated in World War I. That's just the soldiers. 70 million soldiers participated in World War I. Huge numbers. And unfortunately, of that 70 million, 9 million were killed. 9 million soldiers killed. 6,000 a day if you average it out. That's industrial killing. Industrial killing. Numbers are so high because of the industrial weapons, artillery. Fired millions of artillery shells. In fact, some of those artillery shells are still unexploded on the battlefields of France. Once in a while, you'll hear about an unexploded shell being uncovered and detonated. Yeah.
So does the 70 million include soldiers who were drafted but never actually saw combat?
When it says participated, I'm going to go with the idea that they must have seen something.
Okay.
I don't know to what extent they participated. Did they get shot at, or were they in the rear echelons? I don't know.
That was kind of my question. Was there actually a draft for World War I, or was it just a volunteer?
I think there was a draft.
For every single country in the U.S.?
Every single country had to draft because they could not keep the ranks full with volunteers. Yeah. Six million civilians were killed or wounded. This war blurs the line of the term battlefield or battle lines. Civilians will become the targets in World War I because both sides realized that the soldiers on the front lines could not keep up the war without the support of the home front. In fact, the term home front comes from World War I. We have the battlefront and the home front. The home front implies that you're at war. Your front is at home. You fight from home. You fight from the factories. So the industrialization of warfare has to be maintained by industrial workers. That will have a huge impact on populations. Women will go to work. African Americans will move north to get jobs in the cities. What's that called? Great migration. So it'll have at home there'll be effects, socially speaking, as well. And this is why it gets the title, the first total war. Because civilians are targeted and everyone's involved, total war. Typically in wars, the fighting had been limited to the battlefield. We do see some total war in one of our own wars, prior to World War I.
Civil War, right?
Civil War. In the Civil War, civilians became targets. Who famously targeted civilians without necessarily killing them, but what? Who?
Sherman, right?
Yeah, Sherman. What did Sherman do? Jacob?
He marched to the north and destroyed everything.
The North?
South, Georgia.
Atlanta to Savannah.
Yeah, marched through Georgia. Sherman's marched to the sea from Atlanta to Savannah and destroyed everything in his path. Why?
Cut the South in two.
Provide food.
Cut the South in two. What else? What does Sherman realize that he needs to do to shorten this war? Alex? Break the spirit of the South. He has to make the war so untenable to Southerners that they give up. And so there will be that aspect to it. So in World War I, cities will be bombed by airplane, by dirigible. Dirigibles are like blimps that will fly over cities and drop bombs on cities to freak out the inhabitants. Luxury liners will be targeted. Does anyone know the name of the ship that was sunk? Oh, James. Lusitania. Lusitania was the same size and dimensions as what other famous ship, John? Titanic. So if you can imagine a ship like Titanic not being struck by an iceberg, but actually being targeted by a submarine and torpedoed, and more lives were lost on Lusitania than on Titanic.
because of like gunpowder and stuff in the lower hole?
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the reasons Lusitania went down so quickly, and it was discovered later on that it was full of munitions, which made it heavy, and secondary explosions ripped the ship open more, and it sank very quickly. A lot quicker than Titanic. Which, by the way, was influenced by Titanic because there were enough lifeboats on Lusitania for all of the passengers. They just couldn't get in them quick enough. And so this is a brief list of the effects of World War I on the 20th century. The Communist Revolution, the Russian Revolution, was a directly caused by World War I. It opened up an opportunity for the communists to overthrow the Tsar, and that begins what Russians have told me was a 75-year mistake. Fascism in Italy and Germany to deal with the problems of World War I. Hitler called World War I the great stab in the back. The Treaty of Versailles left Germany penniless, owing billions of dollars in reparations. Hitler promised to dismantle the Treaty of Versailles line by line, and he fulfilled his promise to the cheers of the German people. The League of Nations. This was one of the things I was hoping you would
I said that.
dial in. The League of Nations leads to what?
Oh, I thought you were saying like
The, you
what World War I led to.
Yeah, well, in 20th century, World War I effects
The United Nations.
leads to the United Nations, and yeah. So the United Nations is still in effect today, obviously trying to do their thing to solve world problems. The Great Depression. A lot of people don't realize that there are links from World War I to the Great Depression. We always think of the stock market crash. That was a trigger, but some of the things that set up that trigger came from World War I. And it made the world unstable. And then, of course, World War II, total war perfected in the atomic bomb. Where all you'd have to do now is after World War II during the Cold War is press a button and you can end the world. Pretty phenomenal leap from biplanes and dogfights to ending the entire world by the press of a button. James.
What about the civil rights movement?
Good point. What's your connection between these world wars and the civil rights movement?
Because when all the men and soldiers were away overseas fighting about African Americans, minorities, and they came into full factory positions on the job.
Yes. So African Americans took opportunities from World War I and World War II to push ahead on their civil rights. And most of the leaders of the civil rights movement had experience being officers in war. And the confidence of leading men that they would not be subjugated to other men when they got back. And so there was less of an acceptance of their position as second-class citizens because of their experiences in war. Yeah, absolutely. World War I and II definitely affected the civil rights movement, women's rights, Hispanics, all the rights movements sort of have a linkage to war. Very good. This next slide is read-only because I don't think you need to know in writing my personal history, but it has some connections for me and my own family. Ellis Buck is my great-grandfather, and he was a farm boy from South Dakota who went off to war and came back alive. And I have his uniform. I'll bring it in and for show and tell. If you saw last year's yearbook, my yearbook photo, I'm dressed in his uniform.
So he's about your height.
A little taller, a little skinnier. I had to squeeze in. After the war, he came back and assumed the skills he learned hauling phone lines through the trenches and connecting the different trenches, and he became a telephone guy in South Dakota, stringing phone lines in the United States. I've got a picture of him. I'll show you. Anton Kofanik, my other, well, I have 4 great-grandfathers, right? Everybody does, whether you know them or not. Anton was a Czech immigrant who lived in Chicago, and he was recruited by other Czechs to create a free Czechoslovakia, free from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and he joined the war for the French army because the United States was not in the war yet. I have pictures of him. Unfortunately, he would not live long enough for my grandfather to get to know him because lingering effects of a gas attack ended up killing him. He died in a sanitarium in Colorado trying to recover from his wounds, his lung wounds. James Craig, immigrant from Scotland, Aberdeen, Scotland, was wounded in France and evacuated to a hospital in London where he met a childhood friend serving as a nurse, Emily, my great-grandmother, who got to see my daughter Sydney before when she was a baby. I have a picture of my great-grandmother and Sydney, Emily and Sydney together. So they got married in a hospital in London, and then he went back off to war. I've got a picture of them. Emily's brother Hamish served as a in the Scottish regiment. When I got to meet Hamish, I'll tell you the story when I show you the picture. So here are Emma and Anton. There is Anton in the center in his French uniform, which he sent that picture back home. After the war, he met my great-grandmother Emma, who was also a Czech immigrant who came through Ellis Island as a 12-year-old girl, Emma Rohorek. Her name is on the wall at Ellis Island, and that's his post-war photo on the right without the mustache. That's Ellis. You like the haircut? This picture is not quite the way I want it, but I'll take it.
I was like, what? Oh, this is cute.
That's truly.
My grandmother, my 93-year-old grandmother, Fran, made this collage of her parents and was up in her house, and I took a picture of it.
Was it like a family tree or something? Is that why it's all?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, there were lots of family photos, and so that one.
Cool.
Yeah. And this is Hamish.
You're so young.
I was young, he was old. Hamish was in his 90s when my wife and I took our first overseas trip in 1990 to visit family in England and Scotland. And Hamish was in his 90s. He came out of his home. We pulled up in the driveway, and he had this little hunch and quick steps, and he picked up our luggage to bring it in. Like, oh, no, let me carry that. So Hamish we brought the luggage into his place, and Hamish, a very interesting person. I asked him about his experience in World War I. He said that he had never married because he was, what was the word? He didn't say ugly, but he lost his good looks in an explosion. He was with the regiment, the Scottish regiment. They were going over the top, which means you get out of the trenches and run across no man's land against the enemy's trenches. And a shell exploded nearby and literally buried him alive in the explosion. And he was put into a seated position with his face between his knees. His face was crushed onto his knees. His back was broken. His face was crushed. And when his comrades, his pals, came back from the battle who had survived, they remembered seeing him get buried as they went over the top, and he had an air pocket between his knees. And they unburied him, pulled him out, and sent him off to a hospital. His face healed, but he said he was never a very handsome man after that, and so not attractive to the ladies. I don't know, so he never got married.
Wait, is his back okay? Is that why he has a hunch?
I think it's part of the reason he has a hunch is because his back was broken. So, I asked him, did you wear the kilt, the Scottish kilt, over to France? He said, aye. I said, and then I just paused, trying to take that in, and he says, oh, very cold. And the barbed wire. Very impractical. So after being in the trenches in their kilts for a time, they switched out to trousers, as he called it. So they could not be bothered by barbed. Can you imagine trying to jump over the barbed wire in your kilt? Of course, the proper Scotsman, what does he wear under the kilt? Commando.
Reballing.
Proper Scotsman.
Hamish was hoping that he would make it to 100 so he could get a letter from the Queen. The Queen of England sends every member of the realm, when they turn 100, a letter of congratulations that they've become, what would that be? Centurions? No, that sounds Roman. You know.
Did he make it?
No, unfortunately, he did not make it. This was the last time we saw Hamish alive. So, we had written letters back and forth. Very, very nice, very fun guy. Mid-90s. I'm not sure how long he made it.
So cool.
All right, so now we move on to long-term causes of the war in Europe. So, we actually have a cartoon from a familiar artist to you who lived quite a long time.
Thomas
Thomas Nast. Thomas Nast is back, drawing, making a cartoon of world imperialism.
How long did he live?
Yeah, that's a good. We could Google that. That's a Google.
Did he get a letter from the Queen?
Did he get a letter from the Queen? He wasn't British. He didn't get that. I don't know. Did you get a letter from the president when you were in the turn 100?
No,
I don't think so.
They're probably just like, make sure you pay your taxes.
Yeah, I know, I don't think so.
Both of my grandmothers are 93. I'm hoping I get to go to 2 100-year-old birthday parties.
They're interesting birthday parties, I'm telling you.
What's that?
They're interesting birthday parties.
Really? Oh, you've been to one?
My great grandmother died at 103.
Wow. 103.
Yeah, he was only 62 when he died. That's your book.
Yeah.
He was only 62.
He died at 62? He must have started young. What year was that?
1902.
Oh, okay. 1920. Wow.
1840 to 1902.
So that's without
No,
This is pre.
because this is
1885.
1885.
This is from
I mean, think about this, guys. We just come out of the previous unit. You got all this attention over there. I'm jealous. 1885 is sort of the height of the imperialist age, right? 3 years after this is drawn, we enter the fray in what? 1898. Famous year.
So the year
1898.
America steps on the world stage.
Yeah, through what war?
The Spam
The
War.
Spam War. Thank you for remembering that. So Lincoln linkage here to the last unit. Imperialism and nationalism. These countries are, well, what are they doing here in this image?
Taking what they want.
They're taking what they want. They've got their grab bags. The little German with his pointy helmet and his jack boots there. This guy actually has a name like Uncle Sam. This is John Bull. John Bull is the British version of Uncle Sam.
It's really dope.
British grab bag. And who's this over here?
Genghis Khan.
Well, this is pre-Russian Revolution,
Still looks
1885.
like Stalin. It's a
No,
Russian guy.
It's a Russian. Yeah. So everybody's grabbing their piece of the world,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What
right?
did you say?
It's got a big focus on Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So when your arms do the guy in the door, so the where you just slowly goes to
So, oh, you should be reading, by the way, chapter. Wow.
Wow. Put it for October.
Chapter, would you read 2 last time?
Yeah.
I think
We
3
read
is
8.
World War I.
No, we read 8 last time.
Okay, so chapter 3 quiz, get this on film. Chapter 3 quiz on Monday, September 14th.
Who are you? Wait, this Monday?
How about that Friday?
This Monday? Yeah. Good Friday.
9/11? What? No.
What's is it?
Wait,
No,
is this
no, no.
Monday? That's a
That was
14.
last week.
9/14.
Yeah, you have 2 weeks.
Oh, after
Yeah.
14.
Whoa, whoa, that's the
18?
Don't get technical.
Was it 18? 18? 19? March? We have a lot of reading.
So, this image here, I'm gonna zoom in on it a little bit so that the people watching at home can get a full view here.
That's right.
So, in the center,
Oh wow, look at that zooming.
in the center is the word competition. When you looked at that political cartoon, you could tell there was a bit of competition going on. Everybody had their grab bag. Okay. We go to the top. Nationalism sort of explains a lot. Everybody is rah rah my country. The Americans think they're the best. The British think they're the best. The Germans think that they're the best. Everybody thinks they're the best. That's the idea of nationalism. Okay.
The US was the best.
We go over here to the left. Wait a minute. Let's go with something familiar first. Let's go to the bottom one here. That's familiar. Social Darwinism. This is the race card. Whites are superior
Anglos.
to everybody else. Right. Josiah Strong would call it the Anglo-Saxon race. So whether it's religious superiority or scientific, quote-unquote, superiority, social Darwinism believes that the Europeans and the Americans of course are descendants of the Europeans, are the superior race and have the right, and thus even the responsibility to take over parts of the world. So we're very familiar with that from our unit on imperialism. I want to add in something here. Politics. Politics. Liberals and conservatives. Now this can be a little confusing. The reason it can be a little confusing is because we already have the terms liberal and conservative defined in our minds, or at least we're vaguely aware. If you have no idea of current events and the world around you, you're at least vaguely aware of liberals and conservatives. But that's not exactly what we're talking about here. These are classic liberals and classic conservatives. What do I mean by that? So,
The liberals and
a classic liberal is somebody who believes in what we all believe in. In fact, we're all classic liberals. We believe in democracy. Democracy, that's classic liberalism. Classic conservatives believe in monarchy. That the ordinary people, the unwashed masses, have no business voting. And we read that in chapter 2 with the Germans and other Europeans who did not want democracy. They didn't want ordinary people voting because they would ruin everything. They wouldn't know how to handle their responsibility as voters. And so there's a tension in Europe between conservatives and liberals, but they both are in favor of the worldwide competition. Because for the liberals, hey, we can spread democracy. For the conservatives, hey, we can spread our rule. So both sides see the competition as good. So even though they don't like each other, they have a common goal. Does that make sense? So take a minute and, in the margins of the circle, sort of explain liberal and conservative in this context, not in today's context. Liberals are pro-democracy, wanting to spread democracy around the world as a good thing. Conservatives want to spread their imperial rule as a good thing. Make sense? Are we good? Marxist/socialists. These guys also see competition as a good thing because they think they're going to win. Karl Marx's famous first line from the Communist Manifesto, you should know what it says. Even if you, John, you're on the right track there. Workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. So Marxists/socialists are in favor of a worldwide revolution. A worldwide revolution. They hope that all this world competition will lead to war and that they will benefit from it. They will take advantage of the destabilization of the monarchies at war with each other and the democracies at war with each other, and they will swoop in and plant communism in its wake. They want destabilization. They want chaos. They want war to plant communism. Did that work?
Yes.
It did. It worked in Russia. It worked in Russia. So you can see that some people will benefit from the war. We typically, in our Western minds, see war as a bad thing. War should be avoided. These guys want war. And in some regards, these guys want war. If we win the war, we get more land. We get a bigger empire. So war is a positive for these guys. They want war. War is a positive for these guys. But there will be winners and losers, right? By the way, these guys do not believe in nationalism. These guys are... Why don't they believe in nationalism? Why don't the communists believe in nationalism?
Say,
Macario has it.
Ricardo?
And you were saying that they wanted it to be worldwide earlier.
Yeah. Exactly. Those workers of the world, they're not workers of Russia, they're not workers of America, they're not workers of England, workers of the world. A worldwide revolution that erases national boundaries. Communists see nationalism as a negative because it pits one group of workers against another group of workers. So German workers will be fighting against British workers. Communists don't want that. Communists want a unification of workers. Get rid of the owners of the factories. Of course, what will happen in actuality, there'll be a struggle in Russia over which direction to go. So this is just an aside. When Lenin died, there were two schools of thought on where to go. Trotsky wanted to continue the worldwide revolution. Stalin wanted to slow down the worldwide revolution, consolidate power in the Soviet Union, pump up the Russian people, get them ready for worldwide revolution after they had consolidated power in Russia. Yeah, John.
Was Manifest Destiny a liberal or conservative movement?
Oh, really good point. Was Manifest Destiny liberal or conservative? Huh. Yeah, I can kind of see Maya saying both. I can kind of see both.
The right to rule and then the article of democracy.
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at the people who believe in, the liberals would say, well, we're going to spread democracy to those people who don't have it. The Mexicans don't have it. The natives don't have it. They don't have our style of it, you know. They have their own style, but that doesn't count, right? Because of the social Darwinism and all that feeling. Conservatives definitely, yeah, take over the land and give it to the wealthy. So, Manifest Destiny is an interesting, kind of appeals to both sides. And it's, in essence, it's kind of war itself, isn't it? Because you do war on Mexico, you do war on the Native Americans, and war is okay in that regard because it's a positive, because you win the war, you take over, it's yours. And that's the same exact thing that these guys are saying here. In the United States, there's a competition for the land. Take it from Mexico, take it from the Indians. In Europe, the competition is not for land in Europe, competition worldwide. For a worldwide. So this image is from the cover of a book I found a few years ago. It's called Monarchs of the Sea. Can anyone tell who these two monarchs are? Anyone know? Steven, you know who these two guys are?
Is that?
No, I don't. Oh, wait. Bismarck, yeah.
That's in Battleship, right?
You're close on Bismarck.
Oh.
No.
He is German. Bismarck advised him, and then Bismarck was let go.
King. Something.
What do you call a German king?
Oh, Kaiser.
Kaiser. Kaiser William, King of Germany. This is Edward, King of England. They're actually cousins.
They're cousins?
Yeah, they're cousins.
They go to
Germans
Thanksgiving.
have a cooler boat.
The Germans have a submarine, don't they?
Yeah, the other one looks like a resort.
No, below them though. Isn't that
Oh,
their
boat in the water.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that their boat?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of destroying them. It went 2-on-1 and it won.
There's actually one more cousin who looks like these two guys. Tsar Nicholas II. All three of those guys are cousins. Who do they have in common as their common grandmother? She's on the wall over there.
Victoria.
Yeah.
Ben, bud.
Victoria, Queen Victoria of England was their grandmother. Crazy. That puts World War I in sort of a family feud kind of situation, doesn't it?
Wait.
Yeah.
Which was it that said America wouldn't become part of an alliance?
George Washington?
No. There's some treaty. There's some like a myth.
What does the ML stand for?
The et al.
Yeah.
And others.
What's GB?
Great Britain.
Great Britain.
And
Yeah.
Alright, so,
Wasn't it the teller?
yeah, the United States is definitely an isolationist power at this time. John's bringing up, asking a question about who said we would stay out of foreign alliances and
No, but wasn't there like a amendment or something?
an amendment.
Yeah.
Didn't we like help the British with like weapons and stuff and that made the other people mad?
Yeah, so you're getting a little ahead of the story where the United States eventually does join the war. But this is prior to that. Right now we're talking about the origins of the European War and these monarchs fighting against each other. So, alliances. There's two major alliances in Europe. And they're secret alliances, by the way. Nobody quite knows who well, they kind of know who belongs to, but they don't know all the agreements. And so who belongs? Well, France and Russia, Great Britain and Italy, and others belong to the Allies. I'll make this a little bit bigger.
In World War II.
So, where this first began was France. France was looking for an ally against the Germans. France and Germany were traditional enemies. In fact, the reason Germany was a country at all was because of the Franco-Prussian War. Did you just say that?
Yeah.
And your man got that started, Macario.
Henry Ford.
No, not that guy. That's the guy you mentioned a few minutes ago.
Oh, Kaiser.
His buddy
Bismarck.
Edward.
got a city in North Dakota named after him.
Edward. Bismarck.
Bismarck!
Oh.
That was yours, John? Oh, I'm sorry. So far away. So, Bismarck was a German general, and Bismarck had united Germany in what he called blood and iron. The Germans were not a country in the 1870s, and they went to war against France over territories between the two countries. The Germans invaded France, surrounded Paris, cut it off from the outside world, laid siege to the city. Paris began to starve to death. They emptied their zoo to feed themselves. And then, horror of horrors, their pets. Poodles, cats, the Aristocats, French poodles. I'm sorry. Your childhood has been destroyed by the fact that they had to eat their pets.
Where they went.
You messed up one of them. First of all, eating Bella would be like one meal. Everybody else would.
France surrendered in the 18th. I think it was 1878. France surrendered, and Germany took territory from France, Alsace and Lorraine. So the French hate the Germans. They hated eating their poodles, and they blamed the Germans. So when the war was over, they looked for an ally. An unlikely pair, Russia. The Russians also hated the Germans. The Russians were afraid of the Germans. Germany was growing in power. In fact, Bismarck, as Germany grew bigger, warned Kaiser Wilhelm not to get too powerful. Because if Germany got too powerful, then there would be alliances against them. And it came true. Kaiser Wilhelm didn't care how powerful Germany looked. He didn't care. He just beat his chest and said, "We're Germany, we're coming for you." And so France found an ally in Russia. Later on, the British and the Italians would join that alliance because they were also afraid of the Germans.
Britain and France sounds like another kind of unlikely friendship.
This is an unlikely friendship, true, because they are traditional enemies, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so, because, if you're looking back at that picture, if I go right here, these guys are rivals.
His eyebrows are
The British, write this down, the British had a law that their navy had to be twice the size of the next two competitors combined.
This, right?
Yes. That, John pointed to the poster of the British Navy on the wall up there. The British Navy had to be twice the size of the next two competitors combined. That was the law in England, which meant they had to build more ships. Yes?
This is something I've never really understood. Like, what's the point of having a really strong navy at this point? Because you can only go so far inwards from the ocean to the strong navy. You can't protect like the inner part of your country or attack it.
You can control the flow of supplies.
Yeah, but you can do it air supply.
Not at this time. It's like 1900s.
So, Jake asked a very good question. What's the point of the Navy? Because you're sort of isolated to the ocean, you can't go inland with the Navy. And then John sort of helped out with the idea of blockade. You can block ports.
That's exactly
Nothing gets in or out because your Navy won't allow it. The Navy helped win the Civil War. Right? They blockaded the coasts. The South began to starve to death.
The Confederates had like one ship and we had quite a few.
Well, the Confederacy built a Navy, but it was never going to live up to the size of the U.S. Navy, which the U.S. Navy went from a very few ships to hundreds of ships during the Civil War and had to grow in order to meet the demand. So this image here is showing that in order to be the king of England, you had to have your large navy. Now, the king of Germany, the cousin, Wilhelm, cousin of Edward, did not want his cousins to outdo him, so they doubled down on a new invention to help equalize the equation, submarines. The Germans invented, they didn't invent the submarine, it was experimented on in previous times, but they sort of perfected as a usable weapon. Yeah.
Wasn't there like a submarine during the Revolutionary Wars?
Yeah, so there were early inventions of submarines that were, very limited in their ability. They tried them in the American Revolution, they tried them in the Civil War, but they weren't very reliable. They weren't very effective. These can go to sea, these can sink ships at sea, in the open ocean. That had never been done before. Okay, so think about this, you guys. Submarines. The Germans build 2 submarines. What does the British Navy have to do? Build 4 ships. So we'll end it there for now.
With the following students, please report to the front